All right, welcome everyone. We have Chau here with us, who would be teaching us about proxy objects and his fabulous state management library that he's made with it. Floor is all yours, Chau.
All right, thank you. So hi everyone. Disclaimer: I don't have any slides. One reason is because I just came back from a week-long break to celebrate New Year and my son's first birthday. So
Amazing! Congratulations. We'll
thank you.
post it.
I'm gonna share some pics later in the
Oh yeah,
you know.
definitely do that.
Yeah, for sure. So today I'm gonna be introducing, not teaching, because myself still learning about this topic, introducing the proxy object in JavaScript. And I'm gonna quickly show some use cases that you can use, or you can use proxy for, and then I'm gonna show the state management library. It's just a proof of concept, not fabulous. So this is a proof of concept of state management library without RxJS. And then I'm going to just show you guys how I build it. All right. So because I have no slides, because I want to show code from my editor. Right here, I just have a brand new Angular. Oh, actually, let me share my screen. My bad. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep, we see ourselves.
Yep.
Now we see, yeah.
There we go. So now I have a brand new Angular project, Angular CLI project, and we can start by the definition. Right, here is the definition of proxy. Right, and I'm going to read it real quick. The proxy object enables you to create a proxy for another object, which can intercept, and redefine are two keywords here for that object. So if you can think about it, any object, an array as well, and function, all of those are object types in JavaScript are object types, and they can be proxied. And proxy means proxy, right? When you access something from this object, you can have some proxy in between and do something else. And let's just start with an example, real quick, an example. So here I have an object, and this object will have foo. Now, when I access foo, I get foo. When I set foo to some new foo, I got some new foo. Right. Now I want to create a proxy for this object. So now my object at current state is this foo, some new foo. Right. I'm going to create a proxy, new proxy, and then pass in an object at the first argument for the proxy. And then the second argument is what we call handlers. So if you read the documentation of proxy, you will see that intercept, right? So we define the interceptors or traps. What do you mean by it? So the handler is an object with a bunch of functions that are available to various JavaScript objects, like getter, right? Getter, setter, and then like keys, I think. And then there's a bunch of them. Apply, which is for function, right? When you call apply, there's a list of them somewhere in here. I can show you that real quick. Right, you have get, you have set, you have delete property. So when you delete a property, what happens? You can completely remove the ability to call delete. So like you call delete object.key or something like that. And you can intercept that as well. And has all of this defined property. All of these are called traps. Right. So now I want to trap the get and the set for my object. Right. So the get will accept the target and the prop, and then the receiver. Sometimes the receiver is actually this proxy, the proxy object itself. The target is this object, and then the prop is whatever prop that you're accessing. In this case, we don't need the receiver, so I'm just do prop, and I'm saying if prop equals foo, right? I say return Angular nation. That's it. Or else I'll just return return target prop. And now for set, we have target prop value, and then receiver as well. Then in this case, we don't need receiver, so it's just target prop value. And then same thing, I do if prop, let me go that, equals foo, right? We will do target prop equals, I guess let's do value plus Angular nation. And then we return 2. Turn 2. And then we just say target prop. If it's not foo, then we do value, return 2. So this is my proxy. Maybe it's a little bit too small. There we go. So this is my proxy. Now, if I just console of the proxy, I would get this proxy foo, some new foo, right? This is my object. So now if I do proxy.foo, I will get Angular nation instead of the some new foo. And because I trapped the get, when you access the get of the proxy of the foo property, I just return you Angular nation. Right, and then when I set the foo, hey, hello there. Right now I go back to proxy.foo. Oh, this proxy. You can see that the foo gets set to hello there Angular nation. And when you pass the object to the proxy object, it is mutation. So my original object gets mutated to foo. Right. So that's the basic ideas of proxy. You can trap things, do things with it, right? And now I'm going to get into some use cases with proxy. And by the way, the typing, I'm going to open up WebStorm here with the project, just new window. Right, I'm going to increase the font size, so give me 1 second. On. Right, 20. So, it. So as far as like the typing for proxy, I can have a proxy of new proxy, and you can have the type here, so foo string, and then you can pass in the target, and then you pass in the handler, right? So here you can pass in initial foo, and then the handlers will have all of these get set has, and then it will be type set to the type of the proxy. And then the return type will have foo. We have that type correctly. So as far as typing, TypeScript does a pretty good job with inferring for the proxy. Right now, let's start with some use cases for proxy. So now you see that we can intercept when we try to access some values, and we can intercept when we try to set some values. What if you can build a validation system with proxy, right? So let's do that. Now I have my another object, right? And then I have my age, that's like 30. And now I have a proxy for proxy another object, new proxy, and I pass in another object, right? And I want to trap the set. Target, prop, and then this time I'll use receiver. That's fine. All right, so now I'm going to say if prop equals age. When you try to set the age, I would do if if type of value, let's just do quickly. Value. If type of value is not number, here you can just oops, you can just quickly throw. I think I need another name here. You can throw a new error. Age must be a number, right? Then just return reflect.set and then target prop value receiver. Okay. Right now do proxy, another object, 1. So now this is my proxy. Now I would try to set the age to 31. It works. If I try to set the age to a string, it would throw an error. Right, so you can have like a validation system with proxy. You can have a logging system. So like in set as well, right? You can console log, hey, you're setting this with the previous value, and then this is the new value. You can do that with the logging system. Right. Another cool use case is that I'll give you one use case. Let's assume that I have like a selector, right? Oops, sorry. What is this? Let's assume that I have a selector function, which is state, right? State.foo.bar, right? And I mean, if you are familiar with NGRX selector, this will be very familiar, right? That's selector function. Now the requirement is that I want to get an array of foo and bar. Like I'm trying to accessing the result would be foo and bar. You might want to do something like, and then the input is this selector function. So this. So now you might do like state.split, right? And all of this selector function to string, and then it's split by the dot, right? And then you replace the arrow function, all that. Like you have to do all this. Try to get the foo in the bar. And we can try that. Selector function dot to string. Right, you get this, right? Now you're gonna trim, replace string, right? Replace all space, right? With this. I don't remember the regex for empty space. Right, I don't remember. But anyway, right, you have to do split by the dot to get all of that, and then you get foo and bar, and then you have to like take care of like what if the function is a name function instead of an arrow function. So what if you have this instead, right? And then you return state dot foo bar, right? Now you have to have that return statement in there, all kind of stuff. So an easier way is to build a proxy for this one. So I'm going to build this proxy real quick. Is that I have a function called create proxy, right? And this proxy will return an arrow function. Basically, it returns a function, and I have a get and I have an apply. This apply is for this function when the function gets called, what the function returns, right? And then I have a path of an empty array, and then inside of the get, I would just make a shallow copy of the path and then I push the new prop inside here. So let's assume that I have a state.foo.bar, right? Right, when I say state.foo, right, foo get pushed. So now I have foo, and then I passed state.foo inside of the create proxy again, and then dot bar get access. So that's the prop, and then the bar get pushed to this foo. So let's just see it. Right, so now I have this create proxy function, right? And then I have another function called get members, this get member just accept a selector, and then this proxy will be the selector. I call the selector and I pass in the create proxy, which is this one right here. And then I call that proxy. And remember, this create proxy returns a function. So I just call this function. And now I have my selector function, right? It's still state.fill.bar. Now I would call get members is selector function. I got foo and bar. So there's no like split. And now I can do crazy thing with it. I can have selector with state, right? What if you have this? The syntax instead. And, without proxy, you would have to like parse all of these out. It's just very cumbersome. What if you have like a mix, right? A mix of like state, foo, but then you do dot bar. Now your regex will become super complicated, but you cannot maintain it. Now I do get members and pass in the selector via the proxy. I get foo and bar. But because the way JavaScript works when it accessing properties allows me to recursively calling the proxy and return the correct prop and push that prop into like an array. Right. So this is one use case that is I actually use this inside of my automapper library. Right. The final use case that I'm introducing is a listener. So let's do this. So let's say I have a proxy state. I create this proxy with an empty object, right? And then I'm not going to trap get. I'm going to trap set and target prop value receiver. Actually, I want to create a function called state instead. And this one I pass in inertia state. Actually, let's just not put in anything, just make a state. And inside of this state, I want to have a function called call like listeners, right? It's going to be a new map of string and some function. Let's just do that. Right. Next, I want to return the new proxy now. Right. My initial state would be an empty object, and then inside of this proxy, I would do quickly a get a target prop receiver. If prop equal listeners, right, I would just return the listeners. If not, I will return reflect.get target prop receiver. I didn't really talk about the reflect object. Reflect object allows you to fall back to the default behavior of get. That's it. Right now I have set, right? Then target prop value receiver. Oops. I have a function called notifier. Notify listener. I hope I got this right because I might forget stuff. Let's see that. So notify listener. What the hell? It's Apple Music. I have a prop, right? And then I would do this listeners prop. I just call it. Let's see if it works. Then I would do notify listener prop. And then I would do return reflect.set target prop value receiver. And then I have another function. So this is my state. So basically I set up inside of the state a map of listeners for each prop. And then I just get and set it. So when I set it, I would just notify the listener if it has it. Let's just put this here, right? If it has it. If it's not, then I'm not going to do anything. So what? I don't know if this do if listener prop has prop, forgot it's a map. If it has it, then listeners dot get prop, call it. And so this is where is it? Listeners has prop. Oh. I forgot I'm in JavaScript. Okay, so now I have this state. Now I want to have another function called, I guess, listen. And then for this listen, I want to accept the state and the prop, and then the callback. I can just do state.listeners dot set prop callback. Right, now I do this. So now I have cons my state equals state that, and then my state is a proxy with an empty stuff in it. Now I would do listen my state foo, then a callback, and then do console log foo change. I read that, and then now I do my state.foo equal new foo. You can see that now I have some type of like observability happening. So just like RxJS, and you can change the order as well if you like. So now this is basically set up the ground for my library. Now we're going to get into that library. All right, I'm going to go back to this demo app. Any questions so far?
Edward has a question. He's asking, they creating proxies, I guess. Wait, Edward, do you want to ask your question? He's asking about the strategy of it. It's there in the chat, Chau.
Okay, let me look at the chat. Assume I don't have control over the object I'm creating the proxy for. It really depends. I mean, it works either way.
Wrong microphone. Can you hear me?
Like, yeah, I can hear you.
So far, all the use cases you've shown us, I mean, you could have done all that in the base object itself. And, you know, I could make a set function that changes it to bar instead of foo, etc. So why would I use the proxy instead of just implementing my base class that way?
It's more like a developer experience kind of thing. So is when you look at when you use like a state a proxy, and then you have the consumers passing that object for your proxy, right? You cannot tell that the consumer is using, or the consumer cannot tell that they're using a proxy, right? So you're right in the sense that you probably want to create proxy for objects that you don't have control over. Right? You don't create that object, but then you want to do something with that object. So think about, I don't know if you know Immer.js library. This library.
I do not.
Okay. I've not heard of it. No.
Okay, so this library allows you to write updating code in a mutable way, and then they convert it to immutable. So if you know NGRX or any state management, you kind of require to return a new state object every time. So you do state not to dos, right, and then you add a new to do, right, like this, right? Immer allows you to do to do push to do new to do, and then under the hood, they actually trap the state, and then when you do push, they will turn it into an immutable update. So why did this work? I mean, why do people like it? Because you don't really want to have this, and then like something else, and then you have like bunch of like nesting or spreading in your state. So people avoid that, and by using that with Immer. So Immer using proxy under the hood for that kind of operations, right? So this is to provide some developer experience improvement, like without the consumers knowing that they're using a proxy. It's good that they know, but the point is to provide like as natural as possible ways of dealing with a lot of the use cases. You know what I meant.
That makes sense.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I mean, I think you can trap form control to do some stuff with the form control. I don't know. Like maybe like when you do form control, not value, like call get raw value or something, you know.
That would be fun to try.
You know, because like dot value doesn't give you disabled values or disabled controls, right? So you have to do get raw values.
Some of us don't use form controls though.
Okay, so now let's go to this, and I'm gonna just quickly build a counter component. So I have counter component.ts. I'm gonna export a counter component, and this is a component with selector of app counter template that, and then chain detection of on push. I'm gonna put this inside of counter component. Go back to this. I'm gonna remove everything, and I render my app counter here. Save. Now go back here. I will have counter, and I'm gonna serve my my application. Let's see. Now I have the counter. All right. So for this counter, I'm gonna show the normal way, like people that just get started with Angular and with very little or no knowledge of RxJS. All right. So I have the count of 0. I want to keep track of the increment count. So how many times I click on the increment button, and I want to have the decrement count of 0 as well. And then I have increment, this dot cow, that, and this is increment count, that, and copy this. And this is decrement count, but then this one is -1. Now for my render, I would just do count is count, and have a button of minus, and this is click decrement. This is increment with the plus. Save. And now I have that. A very simple component. And I think anyone that knows JavaScript will understand this. And now my counter works. Right. So Now I'm gonna throw in a requirement. I want to say that, okay, I want to show a timer in the console log, or if you can render it, great. If you cannot render it, show in the console log how many seconds have I changed the count values. Right? I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna ask a question. How did you do it?
Well, how do you add without using RxJS?
Yeah, that's correct. Like that's the thing. You have to, right? You have to in the context of Angular, right? You have to.
Yeah.
So now, all of a sudden, your code will become something like this. Now you have a count subject. It's a new behavior subject. Okay. First question: what the hell this is, right? Next, you're gonna have, if you follow like good practice, you have a count observable that's gonna be derived from this subject, right?
Yeah.
All right, and then on the template, you can do async pipe. All right, second question pop up. What is async pipe? All right, next you're gonna have an ng on init. Let's do things that Iceland likes. Okay, now I want to listen for this one. All right, so count subject dot subscribe and hold on. Okay, not subscribe. I want to pipe on this one, and then switch map. What is switch map? Right? People will ask, what is switch map? I want to switch map over to an interval of 1 second, right? And then whenever I have a new value, now I can just subscribe. Tick, right? And then do console log. It has been tick. I think this is +1 second since the last time you changed count. And now in the increment, you no longer have this. You will have this count subject next, and then you have this count subject get value +1. Same thing here, -1, right? And I think now it should be. Oh, I forgot. Sorry, I forgot. Now you have to have like a subscription, like handling subscription mechanism. I'm gonna just go with a subscription here. Right, subscription. This count subscription equals this. Now you have to have an on destroy, so you can unsubscribe. Right, it's an on destroy. I'm gonna move this to the bottom. So if this count subscription, this count subscription unsubscribe. Right, and now go back to my yes. So now say it has been 5 seconds, 6 seconds in your last time you changed count. Right, I'm gonna close this one. I'm gonna change my count. Now reset the timer reset. Right, so that's the requirement, right? And looks how complex my code gets. I'm gonna remove this. Actually, just comment it out. Now you have this 3 lines of code to manage, to basically add like observability to this count property of your component. And then what is this syntax, right? Next, and then get value +1, like you cannot have access to the previous state and stuff like that. So, right. So now I want to kind of play with this idea of like removing this whole behavior subject kind of thing. So what I want to do, I want to start installing my library, right? Which is, I call it NGX Bang. So I'm gonna give you a quick look at the documentation into the wiki, and I have it here. I say bang, pronounced bang, is the other part of the Vietnamese word, and it means state, as in the United States, the 52 states. So I just use the state right there, and I call it NGX Bang. It's just a cool thing that it do. It just doesn't really mean anything. Right, and
I like the name.
What you do is just do npm install ngxbang. Right, so I'm going to do that with WebStorm. All right, so now I'm going to change the code a little bit. All right, so now I don't have a component property anymore. Instead, I will have a state, which is state function. Let me import it. All right. I want to import a state function. Actually, I want to have an interface of like count state, of count number, increment count is number, and decrement count is a number. And passing that count state for this one. I want my initial state of count 0, increment count of 0, and decrement count 0. So now that is I'm going to remove all this code. Now, here we go. So in increment, I want to do this state.count. You know what? I want to do this. I want to do this snapshot. It's a state, and snapshot is a function from ngxbang as well. Right. So snapshot, I will get the count and increment count, and then I will do this state.count, which equals to the count from the snapshot incremented, and this one is increment count. I'm going to do the same thing with this, and this is decrement count, and this is -1. Save. And for the template, I will wrap everything with a directive called stateful. I'm going to import that, and then pass in my state proxy. I will get back the snapshot. I'm going to use the snapshot for my template. Oh, actually, I forgot the other one, right? You have click increment snapshot.increment count. Okay. And I'll go back to my app. Everything should still work the same. Right, now you're going to ask, what is this? I just write more code, right? But then don't forget about this requirement right here. So what do we do with this requirement? What we can do is just a simple thing called effect, right? It's going to be an effect, and inside of this effect, I pass in my state. I pass in an array of things that I want to watch for. Here, I just want to watch for the count, and then the effect function. And then inside of this effect function, what I want to do is I want to have an interval of 1,000, right? And then I will subscribe to this. I have a tick. All right, I'm going to copy that tick right here. And then this return a subscription, right? I'll call this sub. And then I return a cleanup function for my effect. And here I would just do sub.unsubscribe. And so, I mean, if you're familiar with React, this is similar to use effect. This is similar to this right here. Then you return a cleanup function. This saying like when count change, I want to listen for the interval, and then before the next count change, unsubscribe from the interval, and then recreate a new interval. So it's go like this. So initial, all right, I have an interval, count +1, clean up previous interval, create a new interval. So now count +1 again, do the same thing, just clean up, and then that. And then when my component destroy, clean up latest interval. So now I don't even need to have on destroy anymore. Now let's see if the code works. Now you can see that now I have that listening, right? Now if I click, the previous timer interval gets canceled or gets unsubscribed, and then I have a new timer. Right now I can have this one with the value of count as well. Right, I can do snapshot just a state count, or you can even have a getter. Oops. You can even have a getter or snapshot, and then you return snapshot like this state if you like. Save. Now the count value is 0, and then we click +1. Now the count value is 1. So now you have observability without RxJS. Right. So now this is just the effect. Listen for the proxy. Listen for the count. And the cool thing is that if I just increment the increment, this will not be reset. All right. Now, second thing I want to.
Chau, do you have a question, you think, from Greg?
I mean, Greg, feel free to stop me because I'm not looking at the chat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, he didn't post it in the chat. He just raised his hand.
Yeah. Go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. So thanks for that. My point is like, so your argument was that, hey, you know, what is .next, what is whatever the RxJS syntax. But I mean, with your library, we have to learn that syntax as well. So I would say it's like 1-1 even. And I'm going to be a little bit of a devil advocate here. I would say I don't fully agree with you. It's because, you know, you just, you could as well wrap around the RxJS subjects into decorators and an API that is more readable, exactly like your state library. The only difference is RxJS versus proxy, right?
What do you mean RxJS works with proxy?
So I mean, you could create services which work with RxJS and actually have that nice API, exactly like this library, right? Except that I don't have to import another library into my project. I can just use RxJS.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I create this library just for fun. First off, because it has 0 dependencies on RxJS, but it still provides this observability kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Okay.
Let's assume that a new Angular developer doesn't really know about interval. Instead, they have set interval instead.
Okay. Right.
Right. Now this is what they. No, it's not that. Sorry. What is they more familiar with, and it works the same way. Now I have clear interval with the sub.
Mm-hmm.
So the point is not. I mean, this is like doing this for Angular is kind of weird because Angular comes with RxJS. Mm-hmm. But then, like on Twitter, if you follow, it sparks the conversation of like, why do I have to understand RxJS to do state management? Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. So I just want to like experiment, and proxy is one of those things that allows me to do subscription, like push-based without RxJS.
Okay. Okay, I see the point. Yeah. Okay, cool. Fair enough.
And yeah, I mean, this whole what Chau is doing for us is basically showing us how cool proxy objects are and how you could use them to create your own state management, like how he did. Yeah, I didn't even know about them until today. So they seem powerful.
Yeah, they are. Now this is my whole component, and of course you can bring the state thing inside of like a local provider service to manage that state. Another thing, now I wanted to show another thing. Oh, excuse me. All right, I'm gonna have this one imperative count here is 0. Right, and I will render that right here, imperative count. Imperative count is like this. All right. When I click increment, I will also increment there's imperative count plus 1. And you can see that, okay, it's working. And of course, I'm not doing that for document, but it's working. Now I'm going to switch things up. Now what I want to do is want to say, hey, I have a timer, and I say after 2 seconds, right? After 2 seconds, my count equals 5. You think it's going to work? I think it's going to my template is going to update with that. I don't think so. Right? This is because of zone and how chain detection works. Correct? So now you don't have that. I mean, new developer coming to Angular expecting this to work because this works. Right there, right? Imperative cap is fine. But now as soon as they say, okay, I want to delay this a little bit, I want to assign my property after 2 seconds has passed. But then this doesn't work, like the template is not updating. I was like, what the hell? But then if we do this, let's say that count equals 5 after 2 seconds, count gets updated. And then this gets updated as well because under the hood, the state proxy will call chain detection for you, so that you don't like you have a very idiomatic like code when you write codes like this. Same thing with like set timeout. Set timeout would not work, and the reason why this imperative count work with the click was because the click event triggered chain detection. So that's why it works. But then as soon as you pass that into like a timer API, it will not work. So I just want to quickly show that. Let's save that. And last thing that I want to show is a couple of last things. We have 8 minutes. I'm going to stop in 3 minutes. Let's say that you have some derived state. You want to derive. So I've called derive right here, and I pass in the state proxy. Right? Hold on, I forgot the syntax. Oh, function. Now I want to say double. It's double get a function called get, and I pass this a state of cow times 2. So this is the derived. Again, you can have like a getter, no problem at all. But then now you have derived here. What I want to show is this. I want to do another derive. And I say derive here, and I say another double. I will get this dot increment. This is not state dot increment counts times 2. Increment double. Like, why is the API like this? It's just because of how it's rendering. I'm gonna remove this one. Instead of here, I will do P. Actually, let's do a snapshot of derive snapshot. And of course, let's also change this into that. I want to console log this dot state.count change. Oh, why not do this? Sorry, I kind of forgot the syntax. It's been a while since I work on this. This might not work correctly. Let's see. I have that derived snapshot, and here I will try to return this dot snapshot of this dot derive. Let's see. Double derive snapshot dot double increment double. Save that. Save. Let's see. Oh. So now I have That kind of doubling thing. Oh yeah, it's still change right here. So it's not working correctly. But my expected behavior is that when you change count here, only double gets re-rendered. I mean, gets recomputed, not increment double. But yeah, it's possible to do that because state right here is a proxy. Right. So I mean, that's concludes it. There's a couple more things from. There's an async. There's an async. There's a stateful. There's an async right here, and then inside of the async secondary entry point, I have an async connect, an async effect, and async function. Async connect is when you want to connect something like this. Let's say what async connect. I want to connect to this state. I want to connect to count, and then I will do a timer of 2 seconds. Pipe map to 5,000, something like that. Now after 2 seconds, my count will be updated to that observable. So now this is a quick way to connect with some observable without having to subscribe. And the reason why is on the async secondary entry point is that you don't need to use this because this async entry point relies on RxJS. So under the hood, this will call subscribe for you, and then we'll update the count. So you can imagine you have some like API call here, so API call here, and then you can just connect to your state. Right, I think that's it. I mean, if you want to play with it, go ahead and play with it. I'm still learning Proxy. I think it's cool to share what Proxy can do for you. So explore. And of course, let me know what you come up with.
All right, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot because first of all, I had never used Proxy and I didn't know that you could do so many things with it. And that API, it seems like it's like, I mean, the Proxy API, it seems like it's like fully developed and fully supported. So you should be able to use it in all browsers except for Internet Explorer if you care for it.
Yep. In the Explorer, no Proxy for you.
Yeah. Did anyone have any questions?
I just want to let you know again. I just want to let you know that a lot of libraries out there have some very smart proxy use cases, like extremely smart use cases for proxy out there. Like people build forms with it, like build form libraries with it.
Do you have any examples for Angular or mostly React?
It's mostly React. To be honest with you, it's mostly React. As far as I know. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I thought so because I don't think I've come across any. But it feels that we're missing out on it by not having any libraries that use it. It seems pretty solid.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a very cool feature of JavaScript. I think it's like almost alongside with like generator function and stuff like that. It's less used and less known, but it's so powerful.
Yeah, it is. Well, the one question that I had, and maybe I could just read through it and get to know, but when you're defining a new proxy object, do you have to define the get, set, the getters and setters, and all the listeners that you're adding, or you could just choose to have one of them?
Yeah, you can choose to have one of them. I mean,
Okay.
I only have get, set, and delete in my library.
Okay.
And the whole handlers object is optional. If you don't pass, any handler in, it just like fall back to the original behavior of an object.
So it creates like a shallow copy.
No,
if you don't
it's
have
not.
a handler.
It's not a shallow copy. It's straight mutation. It's
Oh,
the same
okay.
reference. It's the same reference. Yeah.
Okay. That makes way more sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. We are also about time. Thank you so much, Chau. Congratulations once again on your son's first birthday.
Thank you.
And belated Happy New Year to you.
Thank you.
And oh, welcome back to work. Mondays are fun.
No, it's not.
Thank you so much. Yeah, if everyone could just take a minute to come off mute and thank Chau for this fabulous talk that you did.
Thank you very much. It's very thorough.
Thank you, Chau.
Thank you, Chau.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, always. You're welcome here, always. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I mean.